Hi, my name is Richard Leiter, a self-published author of literary fiction, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Thoughts on Writing. Okay, today the video is going to be kind of a response to a fellow named Eric Wayne. He did a video about Jackson Pollock. Let me just back up a little bit. I originally discovered this guy, Eric Wayne, because I saw a video of his on the Leonardo da Vinci Salvator Mundi, a very long video, and I was very impressed by it and excited by it, and for a number of reasons. I noticed that he has his own website, so then I went to his website, what happened was he has a number of blogs. He shows his artwork, and he has a number of blogs about artistic subjects, and I really liked listening to them. I think this guy's terrific. I think you're terrific, Eric. But there was one in particular that struck me, and it was his blog about Jackson Pollock. It's called How Art History Got Jackson Pollock Wrong. And I have no criticism of it. I think it's a wonderful and very insightful podcast. The gist of Eric's argument is that Jackson Pollock was not so much interested in the process of making his drip paintings, the action part of it, as he was with the final result. That was the main motive. And the problem is that ever since Pollock, people have seized on the technique, the drip, the action technique, and they've tried to sort of improve on it, or come up with new and improved ways of painting, so that the actual technique, the action, emphasis on action, is basically all that they're about. They're not really interested in the final product. They're not interested in the merit of the art piece, aside from the fact that it was done in a new way. And many of these new ways, as he points out, are quite ridiculous. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about was this notion about how newness, the idea of doing something new in art, is all important. As Eric points out, in all the history books, all the art books, Jackson Pollock is always touted as having come up with a new thing in art, something radically different. It's always, the emphasis is all about newness. And of course, these critics in art books are not so much interested in what Jackson Pollock actually had to say or express on canvas as they are in love with the idea of the newness of what he did. So what I'm interested in is talking a little bit further, developing this idea a little bit further about why the hell it's so important for all of these art critics and curators and gallerists to find newness in art. What is the big deal about newness? Newness seems to be the only thing which seems to be of importance to these people. And I have several thoughts about the subject, and perhaps, Eric, you'll find them interesting. Okay, my first idea is this. Why newness in art? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that the idea of newness is basically a socialist concept. You know, the socialists are all about progress. Progress is the most important thing to them, you know, in the great struggle for equality, in the revolution. Are we making progress? You know, are we carrying the revolution to the four corners of the earth? Whatever they do, whatever they think, it's always got to be incorporated into the grand design, the grand scheme of things. That's progress to them. Socialists don't give a goddamn about art. Socialists basically see art as just another tool to further their socialist agenda. Therefore, progress, newness is very important. And not surprisingly, these art critics are socialists, but they're all from the Frankfurt School of cultural Marxism, Theodor Adorno, and I don't know if Clement Greenberg was, but I would expect so, and a whole bunch of other guys and gals. So socialism is the first thing that comes to mind. The emphasis on socialism, on progress. We're making progress. We're doing something new. All right. The second reason why we have a need for newness is because, and this is probably the biggest point I'm going to make, most of humanity has an inability to look inwards. They just don't have the capacity to look inside of themselves and find ever new and more miraculous things there if they keep looking. Most people are concerned only with the external world, the world of headlines, newspapers. They just don't have that ability. And of course, for such people, including art critics, well, what's more external than the idea of newness? Oh, look, it's new, so we can hang our hat on that. It's a very, very crude criteria for judging art, whether the art is new or not. Another reason with this fascination for newness, and this is kind of closely related to the socialist idea, is that by using newness as the biggest and possibly the sole criteria for judging the merits of a work of art, it's a very effective way of dumbing people down. If people are trained, programmed, brainwashed, only to look for that which is new in art history, well, they don't have to look any further, do they? They don't have to look for the actual merits of a piece of art. They don't have to look and ask themselves, does this artist have anything worthy of being said? Does he have anything to say with the world? Nope, not important to them. Once they've come up with the idea of newness, that's it. No need to think any further. A good case in point is the Black Square of Kazimir Malevich. Now, the Black Square, as Eric points out, is nothing more than a black square. That's the entire painting. No big deal to me. But again, what's important about it? Well, it was new. He was the first person to make a black square. Again, once you've acknowledged that, no need to ask yourself, okay, anything else about this that makes it important? Again, just dumbing people down, and they lap it up and drink it up in art schools and in universities and in art books to no extent. So here's another reason why newness is so important. This involves young people. Now, young people have a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of excitement, and they want so much to express themselves. The problem is that a lot of these young people don't really have anything to say, or they don't have the skill to say it, or the discipline to say it, or the craft to say it. There's nothing but their energy and their overpowering youthful enthusiasm. So what do? They focus not on the meaning of something or what they want to say. They focus only on doing something new. That's it. That obviates the need for study or discourse or thought. A good example, which Eric had in his podcast on Pollock, was the Nikki Saint something or other, the artist who shot a rifle at the canvas and would shoot balloons filled with paint and they would explode. The woman is just full of enthusiasm and wants to do something new. And that's where it begins, and that's where it ends. What they end up doing, all of these young enthusiasts, is they don't make art. They tend to do social commentary. Social commentary is not art. That's the best that they can muster, some of them anyway. And most of contemporary art, now most of postmodernism in art itself, in painting, or in art, is kind of synonymous with the social commentary these days. But it ain't art. Then again, too, you have the money aspect, the economic aspect. By saying that something is new or something has been done in a way that's never been done before, well, that would justify the enormously ridiculous prices that are being asked for contemporary works of art. That's all you have to do, the investor, the billionaire, the multi-billionaire investor says to his art advisor, okay, why should I plunk down $40 million for this work of art? And the art advisor says, well, this is the first person who's ever done this. This is a new chapter in art history. Look, this is the first person that ever drew a black square. And the billionaire investor says, oh, okay. And at that point, they have no problem plunking it down because it's a milestone in art history, and they're buying it in the same way that perhaps they would buy a hot stock. And they've been reassured that it has value because it's new. So there's that to it. And finally, this is also closely related to the money aspect. By emphasizing the newness of something, it reminds us that the value assigned to a work of art is dictated by a very, very small elite group of people, of academics, of gallerists, of curators. These are the people that dictate what's worth something and what's not worth anything. These experts in art could as very well have passed over Jackson Pollock if they had wanted to. They could have chosen somebody else to be the wunderkind of abstract expressionism had they wanted to, and if they had, well, nobody would really know anything about Jackson Pollock. So these are the people that decide, that are the arbiters of taste, and decide that things are worth something. And again, they justify it by its newness. This is part of the reason that I was very interested in listening to Eric's video on Salvator Mundi, because you'll notice that there is so much debate. Well, not even debate anymore. It's kind of ridiculous, the amount of restoration that was done to the Salvator Mundi. But all this was dictated by an extremely small elite group of people. It's almost like these curators and art critics are the cardinals in the Vatican, sitting down at a table and casting ballots for who will be the next pope. That's exactly what happened. This Leonardo expert Kemp and a few of his other of his colleagues sat down and they cast ballots as to whether the Salvator Mundi was a genuine Leonardo or not. That's the way it's done, and it's done by an extremely small group of people who have all of the power. So that's it. Those are just a few of the reasons for this obsession with newness. And as Eric very rightly beautifully points out, it has nothing to do with whether the thing produced is actually a work of art, whether it's a thing of beauty, a thing of importance, a thing of merit or not. Our cultural world has been so dumbed down and stunted and perverted by all of this that, I think it's way past the point of recovery. Thank you very much, and thank you, Eric, for the hard work that I know you put into this and all of your other podcasts.